Hi, I'm Jay Facette, Chairman of the Arlington County Board, and I'm going to lead you through a walkabout in my own neighborhood, Ashton Heights. Right behind me now is the Arlington Arts Center, the beginning of our virtual tour, which actually occurred in real life recently with a large group of 75 people. The Arts Center is the old historic Maury School has just finished a 3-year renovation, opened in January, and is a fabulous home to the Arlington Arts Center, visual arts organization in Arlington. You'll hear more about that later from the Executive Director, Claire. But the walkabouts, this is the 10th in a series. Over the last 3 or 4 years, the county has been proactively promoting walking in our community. Walking, bicycling, all the alternatives to driving. Of course, we all know driving is a necessity. We're going to continue doing that, but where we can, we're trying to provide our community with easy, appealing alternatives. And we've done a lot in Arlington over the years to create an environment that provides safety for pedestrians, destinations, places you'd actually want to walk to, and an infrastructure of sidewalks that help make it safe and appealing and easy to take that alternative. I know in my family, we walk now from our home, and you're going to see that soon, to Clarendon or to Buckingham to have dinner instead of jumping in the car and driving. And places like Clarendon now have plenty of destinations that appeal to us and encourage us to enjoy that little walk instead of jumping in the car. So this walkabout's going to be about 1.75 miles long. It starts here at the Arts Center. We're going to stop at 3 or 4 sort of sites of interest along the way. There are others in the neighborhood I might tell you about as we go along, and then we'll end up right back here. It's the kind of walk that you might like to do, and I'm sure there's a similar one in your own neighborhood. So with that, let's get started. And now I want to show you one of the projects that was completed by our own Neighborhood Conservation Advisory Commission. Every neighborhood in Arlington's experienced one or many of these projects. And right here, you got a perfect example. This strip of Lincoln got street lamps, sidewalks, curb and gutter. It had been needed for a long time. It was prioritized by the neighborhood. And the NC program is unique in the country. We put aside a good chunk of money for the neighborhoods to work among themselves, prioritize projects that meet their own defined criteria and enhance the neighborhood. And it has so many positive values. It gets everybody engaged in the community, in Arlington, in their neighborhood, and it beautifies and enhances the neighborhood in the end as well. It's a win-win. And then beyond that, I think I need to mention to everybody, sort of to remind you once again, how Arlington's pattern of growth is a model around the country for what we call smart growth. Long before its time, it was started here. What that really means is we have learned to integrate the development with the transportation infrastructure. I wish they did it more in other places in the country. But Arlington got the EPA, Environmental Protection Agency's first annual Smart Growth Award. In short, what it means is residential neighborhoods like Ashton Heights are going to stay residential single-family neighborhoods where just down the street, 2 blocks, you have higher buildings, denser populations, but all of that is immediately surrounding the transit station. So all the density is in Arlington that's being put in is about 8% of the land, while the rest of Arlington, Ashton Heights, and other neighborhoods are going to stay with their residential character for generations to come. All right, and now the next stop on the tour. The tour the staff created includes my house, as it turns out, in Ashton Heights. And along with me at the moment is one of my favorite walking companions, Cassie. Yeah, the little mutt, primarily border collie. Her brother's still in the house, very frustrated behind the front door. But this house we bought in 1987, sort of a fairly common variety in Ashton Heights among the oak trees. It's an English cape, built in 1930. Done a lot of work to it. It was sort of the haunted house in the neighborhood when we got here, but 3 renovations and a lot of sweat equity later, it's looking much better. One of the renovations you can actually see off to the left side of the front. We took the patio and enclosed it and created a master bathroom and walk-in closet. And what's really neat is it's designed to match the main part of the house, so the bricks match up and everything else. So I also wanted to show you the side yard. So if you don't mind, follow me this way. Come on, Cassie. Come here, Cassie. Come on. So here on my side yard is one of my pride and joys, water feature, pond, and a rock garden. And in the last year, I also had it certified as a backyard wildlife habitat. It's a program of the National Wildlife Federation. There are many certified backyard habitats throughout Arlington. And what you have to do is show that the 4 basic elements of a habitat required for wildlife to thrive, food, water, a place to raise your young, and cover, are all available. In fact, enough homes in Arlington have been certified that we're on the verge of having the whole county certified as a backyard habitat. So think about it. Your yard probably qualifies, and it's a lot of fun to try to get there. Okay, I'm about 2 blocks from my house now, heading down Irving. And you can see this street got quite a bit of traffic calming over the last year or two. And it's only about a 10, 12-minute walk from my house to Clarendon. And now we're at 413 North Irving, the Ashton Heights Women's Club. You know, I drove by this for 18 years. I had never been in until the other day. That women's club, as I've learned, was founded in 1924 by about 35 women in the neighborhood who happened to talk Ashton Jones, who owned a lot of this property and was about to create a subdivision, into setting this aside and giving them a chance to get a loan to buy the property and create the women's club. It existed, worked for many, many years until very recently, and the remaining women involved with the women's club decided to sell it off, put it on the market, and donate the proceeds to the Arlington Community Foundation to support nonprofits that do work for the homeless in Arlington. Pretty nice gesture, I'd say. But this place has been here for a long time. May not be here next time you come by, may get torn down for a residence or something like that, but it's been a part of the neighborhood for a long time. So moving further along Irving Street, we've just left the Women's Club. Getting to 6th Street, where I turn left, I first want to share a couple things with you. Some of the improvements here on Irving Street. 1, speed hump. Several of them put in along Irving Street to help slow down the traffic and make it safer for pedestrians. Secondly, this used to be an old oak forest, Ashton Heights. We're trying to protect every one of those oaks if we can. And wherever they get in the potential, path of a sidewalk, we will work around it. As you can see here, gorgeous oak tree, the sidewalk snakes right around it. Then at the intersection, you'll see this intersection, the crossing distance has been narrowed. We've got nice pavers, sort of an imprinted sidewalk. Again, raises the visibility of the sidewalk, makes it safer for people crossing. So let's do it. So we just crossed the street, and just as I turn around, I want to share 2 or 3 things with you. 1, that shorter crossing distance for pedestrians is created when we take the original edge of the street, move it out, and create a nub so that cars have to slow down going around it and people have a shorter distance to cross. Here also at the intersection, over on this side, which is actually Lyon Park, we have a beautiful old 4-square building, residential home. I think it was on the Lyon Park tour that was done recently. And then over on this side, the beautiful Clarendon United Methodist Church, a landmark in the middle of Ashton Heights, again surrounded by some beautiful large trees, including many of those oaks. So this is a typical street in Ashton Heights. This is Jackson Street, the other end of the one I live on. Every home's different. A lot of them have had renovations. Almost every one of those renovations has been tasteful. Sort of adds to the character of the neighborhood. And in this neighborhood, it's interesting. There's a wonderful tradition of a lot of people walking their dogs while pushing their strollers. walking around the neighborhood on the Sunday evenings. Now we're coming up on a fabulous home. Just saw it the other day, finished for the first time. Joanne and Kevin Sweeney didn't live here for a year and a half while this renovation was being done. It's the original home, a 4-square built in 1910, won the 2005 Preservation Award from the Historic Affairs and Landmark Review Board. It's gorgeous. Take a look. Oh, and there she is, Joanne Sweeney. Hopefully you can tell everybody a little bit about the house and the renovation. I told them already you had to move out for a year and a half.
That's
true.
So
you can tell the rest of the story.
Well, thank you, Jay.
Sure.
Hi, I'm Joanne Sweeney. My husband Kevin and I have lived in Arlington since we were married in 1986. We moved into our 4-square right here in 1989, and we have 4 young children. As we watched them grow, we realized we were going to need a little more space, so we decided to take on a major renovation. And as we planned for our renovation, we had 2 main goals. One was not to cut down any of the trees in our yard, and we also wanted an addition that fit in nicely with the neighborhood. Right here at the gutter is where the old house ends and the addition begins. Before we met with an architect and a builder, we thought it was important to talk to our arborist, and he had lots of good advice for us. We designed the addition to be on piers, and there is no basement under the house. That allowed us to support the house without disrupting the tree roots. It was a great deal of effort, but we really think that it will pay off in the health of our trees over the long term, and we don't think our house and our neighborhood would be the same without the trees. Our family architect and builder worked very hard on our house, and we are honored to have won an award from Arlington County, the 2005 Preservation Design Award through HALRB for a major addition. And there are other homes in Ashton Heights who have also won awards. And it says wonderful things about our neighborhood and what can happen when an addition fits nicely into your neighborhood.
Thanks.
Thanks for coming, Jay.
Finishing the tour. See you later.
Great.
But we're coming up to the last stop on the tour. Next to last stop, Millikan Park. This is one of Arlington's many pocket parks nestled inside all of our neighborhoods. Millikan Park is pretty tiny, but pretty pleasant. You can come here, sit down, just enjoy a quiet moment, read a book. Named after one of Arlington's renowned longtime civic activists. Anybody who lived here over the last decades had heard the name Millikan, and probably her son's name too, John Millikan, who served with distinction on the Arlington County Board and then as Secretary of Transportation for the Commonwealth of Virginia. Now we're going to move on. And we're back where we started at the Arlington Arts Center. The last stop on the tour. There's a lot to be seen here. It's a beautiful building, and Claire, the executive director, is about to give you a snapshot from the inside. Claire?
Jay, thanks very much for taking the time to be here today. And come on inside and I'll show you a little bit of our exhibitions and tell you about our programs here at the Arts Center. We are now in the Meyer Gallery. The Meyer Gallery is one of our exhibition spaces where we feature artists from throughout the Mid-Atlantic region. We've got 2 gallery spaces downstairs, and then we've got 5 gallery spaces here on our first floor that feature artists from Pennsylvania, West Virginia, Virginia, the District of Columbia, and Maryland. And those artists rotate every 6 weeks or so. Also on the first floor we have our Eye on Arlington exhibition several times a year, and that features the work specifically of an Arlington artist. Directly above us, we have our resident studio artists exhibition space. We actually have 12 artists who work here in the building, and they cycle through their exhibitions around the same time that we do, and so you can always see some work by people who actually work here in the building. And then directly below me, we have our community gallery, and that often features work by school students who are here in Arlington, or students or community members who have worked on special projects, maybe in collaboration with a museum or a magazine or a newspaper, something along those lines. Welcome to the Tiffany Gallery. The Tiffany Gallery is named after these 3 beautiful Tiffany windows that you see behind me. When we went through our renovation here, we were able to incorporate these windows into the renovation plans. They were actually part of a private mausoleum on U.S. government property, and when that property was to be cleared and the mausoleum raised, Arlington County stepped in and salvaged those windows and put them through a restoration process and incorporated them here into our new building. It makes a wonderful backdrop for art exhibitions, for private events, because we do often have private events here. We also have a lecture series. And it's a wonderful room and a very meditative space. But it is just one of our 9 exhibition spaces here, so why don't we take a look at some of the other spaces. We are now in the Chairman's Gallery, and this exhibition is the work of Jane Godfrey. She's an Arlington artist, and a few times a year we will focus on an Arlington artist in our On Arlington series. The Art Center is open to the public Tuesday through Saturday from 11 to 5, and we very often have lecture series on Thursday evenings, and we also offer classes on evenings and weekends for adults and children. So certainly come by and visit, pick up a catalog or some lecture information, or you can visit our website, which has our catalogs and all up-to-date information, and that is arlingtonartscenter.org. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Claire. Great tour.
Thanks.
All right, that was it. That's the end of the Walkabout in Ashton Heights, my neighborhood. I'm glad to have been able to share a little bit of my neighborhood with you. And there are so many good reasons for asking you to get off your duff and do a little extra walking. It's better for the air, it's better for air quality. It's also better for us individually in terms of our own personal health. The more times we choose to get up and walk the 5 or 10 minutes or even 20 minutes down to the restaurant in Clarendon or in Buckingham or Ballston or Roslyn, the better off we'll be and the better off our community and our environment will be. So think about it. We've created a lot of destinations that'll help you make that decision. We've created the infrastructure to make it safe, so take advantage of it whenever you can. And thanks for joining me today.